Donald Trump keeps recruiting from Fox and Fox News for cabinet positions and other plum positions in his administration, now adding Maria Bartiromo and Laura Ingraham, who cover Donald Trump, who interviewed Donald Trump, who can no longer ever be claimed to be independent. He's named the two of them to the Kennedy Center board. Used to be a bipartisan board, and now all 14 members are right MAGA. Trumpers, I'll give you the list in a minute, continuing the march of Fox News as a stepping stone and a feeding program right into the Trump administration. How they can continue to have their FCC license and act like there's some sort of independent news agency with so much revolving door, or even not even revolving door. How is Maria Bartiromo going to look the American people in the eye and say she's doing a legitimate business news program when she just took a board seat? And how does Fox and its ethics department, attention Fox, you need an ethicist, how is it allowing it? I'm Michael Popak. You're here on the Meidastouch Network and on Legal AF. Kennedy Center. Used to be 10 to 14 people, bipartisan, Republican and Democrat. They run the Kennedy Center and its programming in Washington. It's an honor to be on the Kennedy Center board. Donald Trump completely took over the board, trashed everybody that was on there, fired everybody, bipartisan or otherwise, and then installed all of his stooges and lackeys, mega donors and their spouses and the like. Let me tell you who's now on the board now that he trashed it. And then we'll get a Bartiromo and Ingraham at Fox and how they could possibly continue to follow Donald Trump and report on him to the American people when they've taken this cushy plum assignment, while they're still reporters or whatever they're supposed to be, TV personalities. Usha Vance, the vice president's wife, is on the board. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, her mother, who is married to Pat Summerall, the late NFL host, anchor. So Susie Wiles got her mother on there. We have Dan Scavino, who's the deputy chief of staff. We have Lee Greenwood, the country singer who Donald Trump likes. We've got Pam Gross, who is the wife of a mega donor. We've got Allison Lutnick, who is the wife of the Commerce Secretary. And adding to all of these people are Bartiromo and Laura Ingraham, because Donald Trump, quote, wants to return the Kennedy Center to greatness. Now, artists, understandably, are abandoning the Kennedy Center in droves. Hamilton and Lin-Manuel just canceled their entire run at the Kennedy Center because they're not going to do it under this type of totalitarian approach to the arts. I really do feel like I'm in Nazi Germany when I hear about the complete takeover by the government of an arts division or arm. Now, it shouldn't come as any surprise. There's more than a dozen people from Fox and Friends and Fox and Weekend and Fox contributors all serving in some capacity in the Trump administration. From the highest levels, Pete Hegseth, he wasn't even qualified to be on the starting lineup of Fox and Friends. He was Fox and Friends Weekend. And he's now the head of our Defense Department. He's the head of the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth, Kimberly Guilfoyle, formerly a wife or girlfriend of one of the Trump kids, now the U.S. ambassador to Greece. She was a contributor. Monica Crowley from Fox, now the chief of protocol at State. Dan Bongino. Biggest claim to fame is he was in the Secret Service and then he was a podcaster. And now he's the deputy director of the FBI and a former contributor to Fox. Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, now our ambassador to Israel, a Fox contributor. Sean Duffy, very interesting. Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation. He was a Fox contributor where he met his wife, Rachel Campos Duffy, when they were on Real World Meets whatever on MTV, and she was a real world person, Rachel Campos Duffy, and she's still on Fox, and he was on Fox and is now our Secretary of Transportation during one of the most critical and tumultuous periods in air travel, for instance, we've ever had, with at least 5 major plane accidents and deaths, including the most fatalities in the last 25 years, about 9 days after the Trump administration started. Maybe they should focus more on being real civil servants and politicians instead of playing one on television. This episode of Legal AF is...
White 1. Stay informed, not overwhelmed. Follow credible, nonpartisan news sources to track policies while avoiding sensationalism. Fact-check claims to combat misinformation. 2. Strengthen community ties to build local networks for mutual aid, food shares, childcare, to counter instability. Solidarity fosters resilience. 3. Protect civil liberties. Know your rights during protests or encounters with authorities. Support organizations like ACLU fighting legal battles. 4. Safeguard finances. Prepare for economic shifts.
CO, and use Legal AF to get 10% off of the trio, which includes sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle, and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. And then I could go on. Tulsi Gabbard, the head of our national intelligence, was a contributor. Tom Homan, who's the head of our border czar issues, he was a contributor. General Kellogg, he was a Fox contributor. So my big beef, if you can tell, is not so much that Donald Trump is picking people out of central casting on Fox and Friends and Fox and News and whatever and putting them in his administration, which is an obvious indicator that channel was never independent, was never fair and balanced. It was so unfair and unbalanced. It was a stepping stone in apparently auditions and tryouts for Donald Trump, the ultimate reality TV star and producer. My biggest problem is, what is Bartiromo and Ingraham going to do now? I know what they're going to do. They're going to continue to report on the Trump administration. They're going to continue to interview him, and they're not going to reveal anywhere, except we'll do it here. They're not going to reveal anywhere that they are on his board, that they took are they not going to take the money that goes along with it? I believe there's a stipend that goes along with it. They're going to turn that down as well. I mean, Maria Bartiromo just interviewed Donald Trump off the weekend about the recession. Here's a clip.
Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. Don't forget,
So is she going to look and level with her viewers and say, I am effectively a mouthpiece for, I almost said the North Koreans, for Donald Trump? And I took the board seat because nobody told me I couldn't do it at Fox, and I think I can still be independent in my interviews. Or I'm not a reporter. How about that? I'm not a journalist. I'm just an on-air personality. Yet you break news and make news when you ask dumb questions that get amazing, eye-popping answers like, well, I can't predict if there's going to be a recession. It's a period of transition. You're making news there, Maria, whether you like it or not. And you're getting paid several $1 million a year, I presume, in order to do it. I don't see anybody attacking Fox for DEI at the Trump administration. Is that how Maria got her job? Because diversity, equity, and inclusion, they needed more women on the air? I don't know. I mean, let's get to the bottom of it. Seems to be a fair number of women on Fox. I don't suggest that they didn't earn their way into those positions, but if it was a Democratic channel, I'm sure Donald Trump would have already. So I'm going to continue to follow it all right here, this conduit, this feeder program, and this unholy alliance between Donald Trump and Fox as he rewards those that help get him elected. And they don't think there's that's the problem. It's the character thing. They don't think there's anything wrong, no judgment thing, with continuing to be some sort of news organization at the same time that they are just CNBC. I mean, it's like supposed to be a credible news organization while they continue to, take handouts and effectively bribes from Donald Trump. I'll continue to follow it right here on the Meidastouch Network.